Sebi Ballesteros says this is the best links course he's ever played. He's played a few. But it's the crown prince of Spanish golf who could be making this afternoon's headlines. 12 months ago at Druids Glen, Sergio Garcia's first win as a professional, the Murphy's Irish Open. And he's back to defend. He shared the first round lead at 64. A gritty second round 70, and then yesterday a 66. And although he's 2 shots behind the leader, he's the favourite to become the youngest ever player on tour to defend a title. But at Ballybunion they've got what they've wanted, a breeze. Not that strong, but a different direction, and the old course might yet have the final say. Rolf Muntz knows all about playing in a breeze. Qatar 2000, 4 superb rounds, the first Dutchman to win on tour. But since then, he hadn't made a cent until this week. For Rolf, the magic has returned, and he takes that 2-shot advantage to the final 18 holes. But on the day of the Irish Derby, this is far from just a 2-horse race. The halfway leader, Patrick Sholin, fought back bravely yesterday over the last 3 holes, birdies at each, and he shares second with Garcia. And if you're looking for the form horse, well, how about another Swede, Freddie Jakobsen, second at Slady Hall last week. And he starts at 12 under. They haven't had an Irish winner since 1982, John O'Leary. Paul McGinley may answer that need. A 66 yesterday, he may need to go lower today. We've had 3 relatively benign days, and the pros who love this place, most of them playing it for the first time, and already for many, it's in their top 10. Philip Walton, Des Smith looking for big finishes, big checks. Likewise, Simon Dyson. McGinley 5 off the pace, and Rolf Muntz begins the day with that precious 2-shot advantage over Garcia and Sholin. Welcome to the west coast of Ireland for what should be a fascinating afternoon. The sun is shining, big crowds, good golf, a fabulous golf course. What more could you ask for? Well, I suppose Ross McFarlane in co-commentary position is one thing. Welcome, Ross, and we will be joining you in a moment. Let's bring you up to date with what's happened so far, and plenty has. Jakobsen, a par at the first. This is the man who took 20 putts in a round at Slady Hall just over a week ago, and that one in for birdie. So the first hole for Rolf Muntz, a nervous start, this to say par. He's had a bizarre season, and you wonder how much he can draw on in recent weeks where he's played relatively poorly. Well, he steadied the ship a little at the second with a par, but as the crowds craned for a view, this tee shot at the third into a bunker, and that would lead to a second bogey. Nice start for Sergio Garcia, 3 steady pars, but it all went wrong at the 4th.
Not again.
Rolling back for the second time. All added up to a triple bogey 7. Jakobsen pars at 3 and 4, but not at 5. Six has been the hardest hole on the course all week long, but at last the wind is helping a little. It's not quite so tough today. Certainly not for Sholand. This on the back of 5 opening pars. So had the momentum, left Rolf Muntz. No. Birdie at 5. Share of the lead. One or two good scores already. Angel Cabrera at 67 and Bradley Dredge from Wales at 65. His low round on tour, and by the end of the afternoon might be worth much gold. Currently in a share of 6th place with Peter Lonard, Bernhard Lang, a 3-time winner of this title, and Adam Scott, the young Australian in only his 2nd professional event. Paul McGinley's dropped a shot through 7 holes. Garcia, you can see, 4 shots off the lead now. Yakis making steady progress, but with a tie at the top. The halfway leader with the 3rd round leader, Rolf Muntz, both at 14 under. What an afternoon it's going to be. Welcome, Ross.
Steve, yes, really looking forward to this afternoon. A little bit of breeze. We've been waiting for it all week. Eventually it came to us. It's going to make a little bit more of a difference on the last 5 or 6 holes. But on the front 9, it is really helping them on all the really tough holes. This has been consistently the toughest hole all week, the 6th. And this is Sergio with his 2nd shot. Shot. You can see by the flags there the freshening breeze. Most of the players in this downwind case will be pitching the ball on the front edge of the greens. So all these slopes at the front of the greens will come into play, making controlling the ball quite difficult.
So we're on the west coast of Ireland, about halfway up near the mouth of the River Shannon, where it becomes the Atlantic Ocean. This can be a wild place at times, and it's been pretty calm this week, and this, the locals would have you believe, is no more than a gentle breeze. There's Rolf Muntz with an 8 iron, yes, perhaps catching out a fraction heavy, coming up at the front of this green. There's the Kerry Head across the bay of Tralee, beyond that, and the Dingle Peninsula. To the right of your picture, the River Shannon running up towards Limerick. It's a wonderful spot. But walking back in time, really, and the way golf courses maybe should be. This is a cracking hole, this 6. I'm glad you're getting a chance to look at it, because this is a key hole.
Yeah, you can see it's a big dip on the right-hand side of the green, just behind big dunes on the left. Well, the wind helping today, that makes the hole a little bit easier. The tee shot, of which you didn't see, is particularly difficult. The white post staring on the right-hand side, the sea, the white horses come battering up against the cliff edge.
We should explain that for this tournament, for the Murphy's Irish Open, they've actually changed the number of the courses and number of the holes around because of various reasons, mostly to protect these sand dunes. So the 18th for the members is our 13th. We start at what for the members would be the 14th, and run away 17 and 18 for us are 2 par 5s to where the clubhouse used to be, the relatively new clubhouse at this the other end of the course. So this 6, if you played here before, you'd be thinking, well, I don't know, it's not the 6. You're absolutely right. Normally, and from tomorrow, it will be the 11th.
Some excellent crowds here today. Should be in for a feast of golf. I feel really that they are looking for the young master, Sergio, hoping that he'll come through. Nasty triple bogey 7. He'll be very disappointed with that. Wanted to come out with a really good solid start.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and good news for Rolf Muntz, who dropping those 2 shots the first 3 holes must have thought, oh, here we go. And I wondered how much reserve he had to draw on, having not played that well since Qatar. And then Sergio takes 7. Rolf suddenly cashes in with a 3, a chip in at 5, and there's a 4-shot swing in 2 holes.
Here's the case, the little swale there before the front of this green. Rolf was just trying to land it on there. He was coming out of the rough, so difficult to control it. But that seemed to jump off the putter. Be surprised to see that come running up a little short. Pretty good judgment of distance. It just leaves a little bit of work to do. And of course, Sergio's left with a very good opportunity of getting one of those shots back.
There across the Shannon River mouth is Loop Head, and way to your right running up to Limerick and Shannon International Airport. About an hour and a half's drive. May take a little longer this evening. Those crowds, everybody's got to get away. Not the easiest place to get to is Ballybunion, but believe me, it's well worth the effort. They've two fabulous courses here. This is rightly the most famous. They've played across these links since 1893.
A great reply from Sergio. Very important to come straight back from a disappointment like a triple bogey. He's got a wealth of strength of mind behind him. Really wants to win this tournament. Wants to be the youngest person to defend a title, I believe.
Absolutely right, yeah. Now Paul McGinley dropped a shot at the second. And this to get back to level par today. Got some 9 under for the par 5 this week. Back 9 will play a little harder than it has previously over the first 3 days. McKinley's made a habit of finishing quite strongly. He's 7 under for the last 2 holes. It may be a bit tougher today. 2 par 5s, 17, 18.
Yes, indeed, Steve. 17 and 18 playing into off the left. Really not the favourite win for a right-handed golfer. Rolf will be quite happy to make a 4 on that tough 6th hole. Doesn't really matter whether the wind's helping or into. It is quite a daunting tee shot. All you can see is the mouth of the Shannon and the Atlantic staring at you.
Now this 8th hole, par 5. More or less downwind, certainly reachable in 2, but they've tucked the pin away back left-hand side, and that's a feature of this course as well. The way a lot of the greens, if you're not hitting the precise shot in, they throw the ball off to left or right, long or short. Most of them are slightly raised from the surrounding terrain.
Yes, that pin there tucked behind a large mound with the wind behind them, up their backs. They'll be aiming for the mouth of the green for an approach from hopefully the centre to right of this green. And that's the same hill that yesterday Patrick was in the thicker rough. He caught the edge and chipped it up and made birdie yesterday. But he's safely on for 2.
Meanwhile, the final 2 ball turned back into the breeze at this 7th hole, a par 3, 200 yards on the card. 5 par 3s on the course, and Sergio is 5 under, which is pretty respectable. And Rolf not far behind. He's played them in 4 under par this week.
It's a very key part to the golf course to play the par 3s well. This hole playing a lot longer than it has all week. They've been using 5 and 6 irons. And that's a little bit of help from the large dune on the left-hand side. There is actually a little swale in there. It's very lucky to miss that. There's a good view of Sergio's swing. Nice balance. Feet quite close together. Very wide indeed. Big shoulder turn. Drives with the left hip. And then the club drops a little flat. And then a long extension through the ball.
he drops it down fairly quickly and generates tremendous club head speed. Is that as pronounced as when he first turned pro, or has he modified that action a bit over the last year, do you think?
I would say it's just a little less drop than he used to have. That is, he has to have exceedingly quick hands, and I think that's one of the difficult things you'll find.
It's funny that Nick Price, wasn't it, said that he would have to change his swing to survive and any sort of longevity as a pro, and I was just interested to see if he had. At the time he didn't take much notice, but it's probably logged and acted on. This is a guy who's big, strong and sneaky long.
Yes, you can see with Rolf, very long arms. He's a big man, huge extension through the ball. Looking at that one a little bit tentatively. There's a big bank there. Very steep bank with some of this exceedingly strong grass on these hills, Steve.
Yeah, mammon grass it's called, and it keeps the dunes together, which keeps the golf course in place. It's very important, the grass.
And here's Rolf. A lot wider stance there than Sergio. You can see plenty of width on the backswing. Not as long a big shoulder turn, but still the huge follow through with the arms. Trying to keep the ball on the club face as long as possible. But that slightly shorter backswing shows there's a little bit of tension.
They're linked by a famous links course, Muirfield in Scotland, where in 1990 Rolf won the British Amateur Championship, and 2 years ago Sergio did likewise. They both won their final matches 7 and 6. He's a former British youth champion.
The only thing really Frederick had going for him there, that he was coming back into the wind. Exceedingly difficult. If you miss these greens, if you actually go long on these greens, it's the worst place to be. Most of them are facing you from back to front.
Thank you to all of those of you who've emailed us with your top 10 courses, and particularly hello to Dean Rogers, who sent us his top 10. Sorry, Dean, to hear about your recent sad loss, and good luck to your mum, who's captain of Bexley Heath Golf Club down in Kent this year. And you've also been in a little research amongst some of the players here, their top 10s. We'll go into that a little later, but just the impact this Ballybunion course has made already, it's gone into most people's top 10. And they haven't all played it well.
This man's played it pretty well so far. And that's a good distance, but that was some 25 yards. It's 75 feet.
A moment or two ago, and now Freddie Atkinson for his birdie. Quite a good draw for these two Swedes playing together.
Yes, I don't think the crowd will quite understand what they're saying to each other today. They'll be hearing a lot of indifferent sort of words. But mind you, I heard a few, it was like Swedish talk outside my room last night as the crack was in full swing last night.
The town of Ballybunion parted, and I'm staying at Listowel, and it's a sleepy little market town. I said, there's one place you don't want if you want to sleep. It's not a place to go, certainly not the weekend. Very lively, and they've really partied and really enjoyed this week. It's been a festival of golf.
Yes, the crack has been mighty.
Well, here we are. He's probably only a yard or two short, but rolling back down that slope. And even though he's one of the tallest players on tour, I'm not sure you can see anything other than the very top of the pin.
Yes, the slope there in front of the green. It's probably some 20-25 feet below the surface of the green. This is going to swing a little right to left. From where Rolf was, that was very difficult to get the ball anywhere near to the flag. Still a chance for a par. It's got to dig deep now, make sure nothing goes away.
Coming into a crucial stretch all day long, we've been seeing 8, 9, 10, 11 is where you can really make your score around either side of the turn. This is for the lead. He rather fell away. About, what was it, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yesterday did ever so well to come back, you know, finishing with those 3 birdies, because you felt the momentum had gone against him, and there he is, he's back in it. Not only is he back in it, he's back in the lead.
Patrick seems to be very strong mentally this week. And Sergio, after a wonderful birdie on the 6th, outside chance. And that's quite steep there from where he was. The pin hasn't been that far back all week. It's only a narrow bit of green there. He'll be disappointed. And a little chance, an outside chance of birdie there. Now it may be short on the yardage, but it's a tough little par 3.
135 yards. The wind is helping. It's not necessarily an advantage when a hole is this short. And it's a little quirk of Ballybunion Old is that 9 and 10 back-to-back par 3s, such as 17 and 18 back-to-back par 5s. Part of the charm.
So Rolf with his 3rd drop shot of the day. Not the steady start he was hoping for.
And you may not know it, but Patrick Sholem finds himself, or will find himself at the moment, 2 shots to the good. I don't think anybody ever likes to drop shots, but if you were trying to take a positive out of his start, at least he hasn't got that pressure of leading. He doesn't feel he has to defend all the time. He's got to go out and be positive.
Yes, absolutely. But from starting the day with a 2-shot lead, he's now 2 shots behind. An important putt for Sergio here. Kept his body nice and still. Good strike up the hill. Don't hear much clapping here because the crowds actually can't get around this green, Steve.
Well, this is the little stretch of the course that one of the little stretch out near the sea they want to protect as much as they can.
Some of our camera crew there, just in the background. Very hard workers.
They are actually, and it's quite a hard walking course. I mean, it's seaside. You think flat, but there is some tough little climbs out there, and up and down. Now this is a real toughie. Now the 10th, 212 yards on the card, and for the first time into wind, and Max McGinley out with the fairway wood.
So that looks like one of those little rescue clubs asking it to go, and that's a wonderful shot from Paul. You can see that was flew that most of the way there.
See the touring pro from the K Club, which is where we'll be next year, for the next week rather, for the European Open. A lot of money on offer there.
There's been downwind, 135 yards. Just a wedge for these boys. It's slightly uphill and downwind, so just to the left of the flag as you look, there is a nasty little swale, and they have to protect from going in there, because that's almost an instant bogey if you go in there.
It's a sucker pin, really, if you really take it on. So easy to fall away into that swale. And then you've got the deftest of chips. So players, I think, understandably, one a little long, one a little left, and both putting for birdie.
In particular, they're putting down the hill. It would have been quite quick during the week, but this day, with the wind behind them, the putt will be into the wind, so should be able to keep a bit of control on the speed. A little bit of right to left break. I feel if maybe you can grab a couple of birdies around this stretch, he could really take a big stranglehold on this tournament. Obviously didn't hear me. I'd said it was a little right to left.
You have to speak up, Roscoe. Talk about coming back to Ballybunion. Maybe in 7 years' time. This was a 1-year millennium deal. We're down in Cork, Photo Island, the next couple of years for this Murphy's Irish Open. Now, Peter Lonard has really made a bit of progress out there. Got to the turn in 34. That's level par for the first 9. It's 37 the par coming back, and already the Australian is 5 to the good. So he's at 9 under, looking to set the pace in the clubhouse.
Get in. Get in. Yeah.
Oh, and there it is. The 20-putt man finds his range. That's an excellent reply from Freddie.
Yeah, 20 putts in round 2 at Slaley Hall this week so far. 31 putts in rounds 1 and 3. 28 in round 2. But overall this season he's second in the putting stats. Second only to Sam Torrance, who missed the cut this week.
He called it to go in very early, and I think he's quite pleased with that one.
He's had a 4th, he's had a 3rd, and he's had a 2nd this year. And the 3rd and 2nd his last 2 appearances, so he's looking to continue that sequence and maybe clinch his first win on tour.
Patrick missed a couple of these yesterday. I think he needs to keep his composure.
It's the first time, Ross, this week we've seen the trousers flapping about in the breeze.
Still not quite as strong as the locals would have liked it to have been. It's a little sheltered on this green, so
The 2 speeds out in 33. Sheldon still leads, but only by 1 from Jacobsen and Muntz. And on they go to the back 9. Nervy times perhaps ahead. There's a scene around the 18th. The top of your picture is the first that runs away. We need a playoff in a couple of hours' time, and then it will be on the 18th a couple of times, and then we'll play 1, 2, 3 before coming back to 18. I wonder if that will be necessary. It's certainly close at the moment. Well, what a finish from Peter Lonard. That's the birdie, and it is. He's back in, no, it's the par, and the birdie at 17, but he's back in 32. 66, the low round of the day, apart from Bradley Dredge's 65. And he's just got himself ahead of Dredge in the clubhouse. Not at the moment in 7th place, but the wind really gets up.
yes, that could cause definitely get him inside the top 10. That's the number that is. That's the number that his playing partner David Carter was trying to attain when I spoke to him on the putting green this morning. He'd like to send his regards to Jim and Jerry's golf range in Johannesburg. They're avid followers of the golf.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people watching down there in South Africa. I know they enjoy the European tour. And our colleagues Warren Humphries and Hutchie, who's in the Golf Channel, they gave out a website number for America. So if you played Ballybunion, they've had hundreds of replies from Americans who've come over here. And the strange thing is, they all said the harder it rained and blew, the more they liked it. Strange people.
Touch of the Irish.
Oh, look at that thing.
From the semi-rough, he's caught a bit of a flyer. Can't get the ball to control. I feel he's had a big break there, Steve.
He's got lucky there. I mean, he could have been in deep rough on the side of a mountain. And when he's got a shot that he would hope to get up and down, and it could have been far worse. Adam Scott, by the way, has just had a little birdie run at 14 and 15. Has got himself to 10 under. Roger Vessels is at 8 under through 12, 2 under for today's round. Having a good week.
probably hear the majority of the crowd following Paul.
Well, they will, but Des Smith is playing nicely. He's had 10 straight pars, still clinging to a top 10 place at the moment, 8 under. Philip Wharton is out in 36, 2 over. He's made a par at 10. He's outside the top 10 at the moment. Share 70, feeling the pressure a little, perhaps. But this has the feel of a real golf tournament, isn't it? Big crowds, big money, and a wonderful location. If they're fishing or trying to get in without pay.
So Rolf after a bogey on the 7th. And that's an excellent shot, right into the heart of the green.
Ross, you mentioned David Carter. David out in 30. Won this tournament, of course, 2 years ago, didn't he? At Druids Glen, out in 34 under, back in 38, 1 over, but a 68, an excellent finish, 7 under at the moment in the tie for 13. So you never know if the wind gets up. David might get his first top 10.
So this is a hole that Tom Watson said is never hit less than a 1-iron to. I think that's the sort of club the boys will be hitting today. 1 or 2 iron, maybe a little metal wood. And that's a very impressive shot from Frederick.
Yeah, a couple of 2s at 9 and 10 would tidy up the card. Tom Watson, the captain here this year at Ballybunion. And it's a shame they lost a stalwart of the club, Sean Walsh, former captain and president, I think, who was instrumental in helping to bring this tournament here. Sadly passed away at the start of the year a few months ago, and it's a shame that he's missed this course really being revealed to the world. It's not a secret course, a lot of people know about it, but very few. It's one of these myths, the holy grail of golf maybe, that you hear so much about, and for many of us it's the first time we've actually come and seen it for ourselves, and it hasn't disappointed.
Oh, definitely not. A few players I spoke to this morning, absolutely thrilled to be playing on a course of this stature. Very lucky really to be playing a course so quiet. All the locals have been saying they've never had 4 days in a row quite like it.
Hang on now. Hang on.
Okay.
It's worked out okay in the end. He was a little worried that bunker was backing in.
Well, this is where Sergio's ball finished. I didn't see it. Pretty straightforward shot. Hands forward, a little bump.
Steady on. Steady on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. A game of fractions, and just look at that. And sometimes it's not that fair.
Well, he's already tangled with a couple of hills, in particular on his 4th hole.
Similar sort of shot. He was taking no chances this time. Well, I say he's the king of the back 9. He's 12 under for the 3 halves so far, and he's going to need to improve on that, because this tournament is slipping away from Sergio.
He seems to want it so badly. Maybe he's trying a little too hard.
And ought to just keep an eye on Adam Scott, just in case he could finish birdie and post a target at 12 under. And that's the nerves start to jangle for the leaders.
Stand still, please.
So Rolf, after 2 lovely shots, Rolf actually has been the top hitter of greens this week. #1 ranked of greens in regulation.
That's been his game plan, I think. Fairways, greens, and make a putt or two. It's worked very well.
Good view of this far away putting style.
putting nicely, 29, 29, 31 putts. Actually only hit 6 fairways yesterday, 15 greens in regulation, 17 in round 2, which is a commendable effort.
It's very important for the pros to, when they drop a shot, to get it straight back. Don't feel as if the bogey has hurt you so much. Shows the strength and character of these boys. When they get a chance, they take it.
Yeah, snappers at the front of your pitch. You see the guy with the white hat on, that's Matthew Harris. Next to him, Phil Inglis. Regulars on tour. See Charlie Briscoe Knights here. He's an honorary life member, overseas member of Ballybunion, and he's actually working for the club this week. And, moving out to Palm Springs. It's a tough old life Charlie's got. He's going to do a book on Californian golf.
Sergio hold a very good par putt on the last. This a little bit further. Never really hit it with any authority. And that will feel like a double bogey to him. There have been lots and lots of eagles here today.
He's 4 behind. He's sharing 4th with Paul McKinley and Adam Scott now. Adam Scott got a sponsored invite, and it wasn't clear until Sunday that he was going to get that. They were hanging on, wondering shall they come or not. And there was some talk about maybe if the wind blew it wouldn't be so good for a young man making his way, second professional tournament. In the end he came, and I bet he's glad he did. He's only 4 shots behind, he's got 3 to play. And of course the back 9 playing tougher if he could. It's a big ask, but if he could post the target 12 under, who knows? He wouldn't be leaving for the airport too quickly.
Oh, good. Whoa, whoa.
I don't know about you, right? You don't look at any of the leading contenders at the moment. They don't fill you with confidence. They're all feeling the pressure. They're all finding this course. It's a different beast today.
Chris Rolfe has played the 8th hole very well this week. 5 under par for that hole. This is a important hole. The 9th is only a short hole, only a little wedge up the hill. As you saw, Patrick Sholand, our leader, dropped a shot.
It's a difficult one, this, for our producer, because he's now got to keep an eye on Adam Scott. See, Yarmo Sanders just made a birdie at 13, 9 under, and we know Yarmo's capable of birdie bursts. There's still a chance the leader could come from almost anywhere. Be one heck of a way to resign, wouldn't it?
A better round from Retief Goosen today, a 68.
Started with a 6.
Earlier in the day, the first hole was playing particularly difficult. And they're evidence of how much respect they have for this pin.
A round of Retief's, and say the old song, it started with a 6. But he had 3 2s on the card and an eagle at 8, and that's 68. A little more like Retief's real form.
Frederick will have felt that's a big opportunity missed. But he's playing solidly, hitting plenty of greens. And the one thing he's good at is putting.
And that's horrid. Horrid.
Why don't you trust what your caddy's saying to you?
That's a very interesting thing there. I'm sure you all heard that. Trust what your caddy says. That's why you pay him, Sergio.
Yeah, he's been around maybe a little longer. TV cables down there, they can be moved. The ball may take a little more shifting.
Sergio's caddy, Glenn, used to caddy for Retief Goosen.
Yeah, he's a good lad as well, and I think you'll get more respect from Sergio in future. Now, Patrick Sholen slips down to the lead. Back-to-back bogeys on the 2 par 3s, and he's back to 13. And Rolf Muntz now leads by 1, and maybe he's just starting to think, well, maybe I better win this, because it doesn't look as if anybody else particularly wants to.
So all the leaders, only of the last couple of groups, Fredrik Jakobsen is under par. Sergio 3 over for the day. Rolf 1 over for the day. Patrick level par.
I'll tell you, a big test for Adam Scott now, because I wonder if he starts to look at a leaderboard. I'm not sure if he is a leaderboard watcher. Some players are, some players aren't, but you know, for the first time as a professional, he's in contention as an amateur, top 10 in Morocco and in at the Belfry in the B&H. Superb performances, but it's a different sort of pressure when it's your living.
And the 11th hole. There's been lots and lots of birdies and eagles on here. And that's a perfect tee shot from Paul McGinley. We can't really count out Paul. He's at 10 under par.
Well, there we are. Muntz by 1 from Jakobsen Sholen. There's Scott in 4th place. McGinley not out of it for sure, particularly if he could pick up an eagle or at the very least a birdie at the 11th. Garcia in big trouble at 9. Peter Lonard, leader in the clubhouse, and probably not going to win. A good round from Bradley Dredge. He's low as a pro, and Yarmo Sandlin, we have to keep half an eye on Yarmo.
Here's an idea of this tough grass. Downhill all the way from here. Threw it up into the wind, got the breeze to hold it up, stop it from travelling too fast. And it gives him an outside chance of making his par.
Now, Rolf Muntz, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, right, beg your pardon, 2 birdies. Hasn't exactly convinced, and probably is mildly surprised to find him still ahead.
Very similar position from where Fredrik Jakobsen holed. Just a little further away. Downhill, slightly left to right.
Good putt. Good positive putt.
Excellent. Rolf has had a very good judgment of his pace this week. His putting has not been one of his strongest points this year. He's ranked about 137th in the cumulative stats. Only 2 cuts out of 12 before this week. But it shows you when it's your week.
If it's your way, he was very convincing in Qatar and Doha there, when the wind, the Shamal, really did blow, and took a good lead into the final round. We wondered mentally would he cope, a road he hadn't trodden before, and he wasn't really going away from the field. Only Ian Woosnam got anywhere within sight of him. Sergio to the turn in 38. 4 over.
So that'll just dampen the crowd's enthusiasm. They were expecting a bit of a surge from Sergio. Just a little bit of tidying up for Rolf. It's been his strong part of the game this week, holing out particularly well. Obviously not very happy. It's a little similar to the putt that Patrick Sholand missed some 10 minutes or so ago. So he's right to take his time. And that's Rolfmans out in a 1 over par 35, but still finds himself 1 shot in the lead from the Swedish pair of Fredrik Jakobsen and Patrick Sholand. Our first look at Des Smith of the day. 10 straight pars. And then a little red figure 4. Moved him to 9 under par. Des Smith now in a tie for 5th place. He'll be glad to see a little red number on his card. The pin here at the 11th on the front right-hand corner, only 6 on.
Not an albatross. Oh! We had one last week, but an eagle would really make it interesting. Some afternoon, McGinley, he's uphill, it's steeply uphill, but look at him striding out.
Yes, that puffed the chest out a little bit more. Nice little help off the bank.
He's a fine player, lovely man as well, is Paul McGinley, but he's been, by his own admission, in the shadow, perhaps of Porter Carrington and Darren Clark in recent times.
Maybe the Irish connection starting to move. Des Smith now 9 under par, 1 under for the day, 10 pars, 1 birdie. There'll be a lot of changes around this part of the golf course.
Get up.
Good beauty from the leader. Just had a correction to Adam Scott's score. It's a double entry on our computer at 14 where he made a birdie. 15 a par 4. Not a bad score on probably the hardest hole on the back 9 anyway. But he's at 9 under at the moment, sharing 5th place then with Leonard Sandlin, Des Smith and Garcia. It's interesting, you know, Adam Scott, his dad was undecided whether to bring Adam over here. He's got 7 invites. And Robert Lee, who's been in this box a time or two, that's a much better shot from Sergio. And Robert Lee, who's working for Talk Sport Radio now, who's 1/3 Irish, 1/3 Italian, 1/3 fruitcake, said, well, go on. Go, you might win, and that changes the whole equation. Who knows?
Perhaps we'll have to call him Battenberg.
Wouldn't be the worst thing Robert Lee's being caught this time.
Wind behind from this tee shot, just a 3 wood for Frederick. Needs to slow down a little. Seems to have just settled down a little in that semi-rough.
It's a par 4 really for these players, and there's been an eagle or two. Peter Mitchell made a 3 here. He's still out on the course. He's dropped a couple of shots since, but most of the serious contenders have made a 4 here. Bradley Dredge, Roger Vessel made a 4, so did Des Smith, as you saw, Yarmo Sandlin, Adam Scott, Peter Leonard. But can Paul McGinley make a 3, an eagle 3, and close to within 2 shots at once?
That's very painful there. Probably feels that he holds that putt. He really has a grip on the title.
And his putting's been improving throughout the week. He started with 31, 29, then 27 yesterday. Still a birdie 4, but I'm not sure you can afford to miss opportunities as good as that one.
He may be ruining that later on in the day.
Such an important title to Paul McGinley, who with Porter Carrington a couple of years ago won the World Cup of golf. His old Johnny was his caddy, and he said, "Did you get the plane?" "No, we were celebrating we didn't get the plane home on the Monday." "So what, you came on Tuesday?" Then he said, "No." He said, "Actually, we missed the plane on Tuesday as well." Keyhole then, isn't it? I suppose this 15, 17 and 18, the keyholes on the back nine.
Another former winner, Bernard Langer, with a round of 68 today. Front 9 of 30, back 9 of 38.
Really has switched round, isn't it? I mean, all week long, because of the wind direction, what wind there's been, you'd be making your score on the back nine. Now the front nine's a little easier, and the 2 nines have switched.
Patrick hit a little runner in here yesterday. And almost exactly the same spot today. Just ask him how he plays that shot.
You don't normally expect to get backspin, just that little fringe on the edge of the putting surface stopped that from going quite a way back. It was starting to build up a bit of momentum. Set back, I'm afraid, for Adam Scott. Bogey at 16. Dropping a shot at the par 3 back to 8 under now. So he's 8 under, just hanging on to the top 10. Bit of a relief for our producer, I suppose.
I was speaking to Freddie before he went out, and he gave me his top 10 courses. And of course, can you believe it? Ballybunion is on that list.
It's very much a list that relates to places where he's played well as well, didn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Celtic Manor rather, one of his favourites. And I asked him why. Was it particular the way the course was set up? He said no, it's the whole ambience really.
Sweet, said ambience.
I made that bit up.
I think he's right. It's the place that, as a resort, you would judge Celtic Manor. The golf course is fine, but everything else around it was good for the players, the lounges and practice facilities, the hotel itself. And of course he played very well. And I think Knuckle of the Zoot, where he lost to Lee Westwood in the playoff a couple of years ago, also up there.
Yes, that's another one in his list. Now Rolf, this a chance to move back into a 2-shot lead. Seems to be the case for Rolf today. He made all those the last couple of days. Maybe a little bit of tightness in the grip. Still holds on to his lead. But of course Patrick Sholand on the front edge of the green on the 11th, an eagle putt. Sergio will be very glad he's got one of those in at last, but probably feeling 5 shots behind now, like he's trying for maybe a top 3 position. Looking very disappointed and dejected. After a perfect tee shot on the 12th from Des. fantastic approach.
Well, last year it was fellow veteran Eamon Darcy who had such a good Irish Open, finished tied 4th and picked up the biggest cheque of his career. And that's his biggest cheque is around about 66,000. That was in the Madrid Open, which he won back in '93. So he's got a chance likewise of bringing a smile to his bank manager's lips.
Always seems to be the bank managers who are smiling.
You've seen the charges, you'll know why. He'd actually need first or second to surpass that check. But either way, sort of top 5 or so would be a fabulous achievement for Des Smith. You see the ball just stop that Sir Patrick Scholing. Can't mark it because it's not quite on the putting surface. Tricky little one for Freddie though.
As you can't quite see it by this picture, quite a swale down on the front left-hand side of this green.
63 in round 2, as low round as a professional, and he only hit 6 fairways. So he must have been pretty handy from this sort of range.
It's evidence of the semi-rough. You get a few blades of grass between the ball and the club face. Can't get the spin on the ball.
What a pity. When you're 47, I suppose you've missed 1 or 2 of those in your time, and you've tried it cack-handed, you've tried short, you've tried long handle, and just when you need it most. Still a par, but it should have been a birdie.
There'll be some chat between those two. Ray Latchford, his caddy. Now, just over his left shoulder, that's where he'll be aiming it. Sit down now, sit down.
Now we've seen 1 or 2 in there previously this week, and it's not a place you want to be. You can really bag a difficult lie. Every week there's a moment somewhere, sometime. Could this be the magic time for Patrick Scholand? Became a father 5 weeks ago. Is he allowed too much on that one? Only just. It's a very accomplished birdie. Into a share of the lead again. Had a lot of time off recently, what with the Ulrika, who used to caddy for him, giving birth, and hadn't really got his form back until this week. Experienced caddy there, that's Damien, that's brought home Mark James a lot of times as well. He's Mark James, a noted links player.
See the trousers starting to flap a little more now. So this will be excellent up and down.
Saw it last week at Slaley Hall, such a positive putter, and he got within 1 shot of Lee Westwood, you may recall, with 3 holes to play, and then just ran through the elbow of the 16th at Slaley Hall into the bunker. Lee Westwood needed no second invitation. As Freddie took 5, he took 3, and it was all over.
Just running through Freddie's top 10. Barsebäck in Sweden, down near Malmo. Ballybunion in his top 10. Knocker. Glen Eagles, beautiful spot up there. St Andrews, the Emirates, Royal Portrush, Halmstad, which is also an excellent Swedish golf course, a place in Florida called Tiger Point, and last but by no means least, Celtic Manor.
An interesting list, and nice to get a continental perspective. You've got a couple more which we're bring into the conversation a little later. Just 121 yards then for Paul McGinley at 12. And we are just a little too firm, maybe flying on the wind.
Maybe a bit of a rebound off missing that little putt. It can sometimes affect you that way.
Saw the little sponsorship logo on the back of his shirt. Drops a couple more shots. He may be needing them for private healthcare. The problem is it's my head.
Yes, they say it's a game of inches. 4 inches between the ears.
Oh, that's why you got a problem. You've only got 4 inches behind. That's why you've got a bit of a problem.
My head's too narrow, but I'm really streamlined for Into the Wind.
Now, Sergio's run through this 11th fairway, and he's got a little lucky. The wind's maybe helping a little bit, certainly off the left. Chase this one on. He can't. Probably has to pitch it just short.
Again, coming out of a little bit of a flying lie.
Well, he can't keep doing that and getting away with it, and that's dead. I mean, he may get away with the 5, but he desperately needs the 4. And well, if he gets a 4 out of there, I'm buying Murphys all night long.
Come on, Sergio. Peter Lonard's round of 66 elevated him up to 5th spot in a tie with Jarmo Sanderlin, who's out on the course, 4 under for the day.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on Jarmo. Just made a 4 at 14. Because it's the curse of the camera in many ways. Rush a camera and they promptly drop a shot. Murphy's law. Now, a bit of indecision over club selection for Rolf suggests that the lie is not very good.
I think in particular the difficulty here, Steve, is it's a very, very narrow entrance to this green. Probably be looking to lay it up short, as you can see by that picture. Not a lot of fairway to hit at there between 2 large mounds with a lot of deep, unattractive grass for a golfer.
Roger Vessel's still 8 under through 14. I know if Hutchie was in here, he'd be keeping you in touch by blow, and would have been constantly on the talk back to our producers. The South Africans going well, but we'll keep you informed.
Very sensible shot by Rolf. Is a little unlucky to have run into the edge of the semi-rough. Will make it difficult to stop the ball anywhere near the hole, with the pin being only 6 paces on, just on the right-hand edge of the green. Next stop, New York.
Now, I think that would be a driver.
Come on, wind.
For
Come
New
on.
York.
Slide.
It's a hole that cost Patrick a double bogey 6 yesterday. It was a start of a little run of double bogey, par bogey, bogey, and he came back from with that triple birdie finish, and his tournament could have ended right there and then through 15. But at the moment, it looks like it might be his turn to set the pace. So the Molly Hope or the Holly Hope, as long as it floats, who cares? Sherwood and Muntz sharing the lead. Muntz needing to chip and putt to make his birdie at 11. As they're looking out over the old town, where golf really is the centrepiece. It's the reason now for the town's existence. And Mark Williams on day 1 was saying, what does Bally mean? Well, far as I know, Bally means place of, and Ballybunion, place of the Bunyan family, who were here in ancient times. As far as we know, there's not a Ballybedo in Ireland yet.
Definitely not in Reading either. That must be from Ballymanchester. Rolf throwing that very high into the air.
The final two balls struggling.
It's another particularly difficult spot with which to try and get near to the hole.
The only one probably enjoying this at the moment might be Peter Lonard, who had a fantastic stroke of luck at the start of his second round. One of his contact lenses fell out, and it was a sharp-eyed Irishman who somehow in the crowd said, there it is on the tee, and they found it and put it back in, because he was doubtful whether he could have gone on and played without it. This is Paul McGinley, and that is his fourth shot. Remember, he went through the 12th in two, hit the Garcia chip where it went up the bank and came back pretty well to his feet, putting that, and McGinley's got problems, and everywhere you look, players are beginning to struggle. And we said at the top of this fourth round coverage, it might be that the old course at Ballybunion, so calm, so inviting, so beguiling, almost simple for the first 3 days. You didn't think you were going to get away with it, did you?
Yes, Tom Watson will be rubbing his hands watching this.
Well, he'll be watching the Golf Channel in America. He's been playing in the US Senior Open, so sadly couldn't be here. He will be over in Ireland for the British Seniors Open at Royal County Down, which is a classic links on this Emerald Isle. They claim to have 30% of the genuine links courses in the world on the shores of Ireland.
So I'm sure he'll be visiting his golf club. Captain this year.
Got about 6 months prize givings to do. See the graveyard beyond the 14th. That's to the right hand side of the 14th, which is the first for the members as they play it. If you missed it, we told a little story of one of our colleagues who came over here on a stag weekend, and one of his party hit a ball into there and it rebounded off a headstone back onto the fairway, and they called it the Lazarus shot.
Roll right down on the metal there. Still a lot of work to be done from where he is.
Well, I don't know, pick a winner. Because every time somebody begins to look as if they might take a grip on the trophy, which took 7 Waterford craftsmen 22 hours each to create, it's well worth lifting, but I'm not sure who can lift it, because unless he holds the bunker shot, I might be forking out for the Murphys. Adam Scott with a par at 17 needs a birdie at the last to tie Peter Lonard, and you wouldn't have thought that the 3 ahead of the Australian would come back to him, but looking at this, you never know.
So 5 shots now, still not on the green. This is the hole that's played one of the easiest this week. Lots of 3s and 4s, but this final pairing making it look particularly difficult.
Yeah, the 11th hole, the second easiest hole, the 8th being the easiest. And Sergio might get away with a par. And this man, I don't know if he knows it. Certainly leading on his own, just a question of by how many. Freddie Jacobsen will be his closest challenger, his fellow competitor in this 2-ball.
Much better tee shot today from Patrick. Yesterday hit it left into the dunes, and a couple of thrashes at it. Ended up Taking 6. Somehow can't see him making any more than a 4 from there. Very important this for Rolf. Not to be.
He will slip back to 12 under now, provided he taps that one in. So once slipping back, Scholen and Jakobsen will be 1 and 2. Jarmo Sandelin with 3 holes to play, 9 under. Couldn't be discounted, so it's looking very good for Sweden at the moment.
Rolf has a very experienced caddy on the bag. Guy, another one of the Sunningdale caddies, or one of twins.
And Gary caddies for Anthony Wall.
I'm sure his experience will gather him, pull him in, pull the reins back.
Just working out the percentages that's slipping away at the moment. Yeah, how do you come back from there? How do you keep positive? I suppose you look at the scoreboard and say, well, it's not over for me yet.
Absolutely. Well, maybe this guy has got something to say about that. He definitely has. And now for the moment takes a 2-shot lead over his fellow Swede, Fredrik Jakobsen.
Or maybe because he survived that little mini crisis over 3 holes yesterday. He's had the strength to come back. The last 7 holes have yielded 4 birdies and 2 bogeys, just the 1 par. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but he's 2 in a row, headed in the right direction, and as you say, 2 ahead now. Well, for Sergio, it's turning into a Carnoustie revisited round. Remember, he was left the Open Championship venue in last place after 2 rounds, in tears, and couldn't keep a good boy down or a good man down for long. Came back to go so close in the US PGA, and normally he's at home on links courses. He showed in round 1, won his stacks of amateur titles by the seaside, but oh dear. The 7 also, and he's in a share of 11th place at 7 under. And if SC Rescue came along and plucked him off the course now, he'd say thank you very much. What a nightmare.
This to stay within 2. Yes, beautifully holed. A chip and a putt for Fredrik. There'll be a little bit of a match play between these two at the moment.
So there we are. Scholen at 15 under by 2 from Jakobsen, by 3 from Muntz, who's just made a 7, a double bogey at the second easiest hole on the course. Storm clouds gathering in the distance, and Peter Lonard in the clubhouse with a round of 66, having come back in 32, might be thinking, well, never say never. That's actually coming up against the wind. In the forecast, one forecast I saw said there was a chance of thundery showers this afternoon, and that, well, let's hope it's wrong. Let's hope those clouds go away, because I mean it's boiling up down on the course into a thrilling finish. Difficult to call because there's no doubt that the course is having the final say. Patrick Scholen has got, or Paddy Scholen as they're calling him around these parts now, got a 2-shot lead, but he can't relax.
Now the course at any time jump up and grab you, pull you down. Their confirmation. David Carter now moving up to 11th, very close to getting his first top 10 of the year. Roger Vessels.
And I can tell you, Nick O'Hearn's just picked up a birdie at 17 as we speak, and he's gone to 8 under, so just bubbling under a 3-pronged Aussie assault on this title. Philip Wharton looking for top 10. Jose Maria Olazabal has never finished outside the top 10 in the Irish Open. He won it in 1990. Andrew McLeod's had a good week with Simon, who's normally Ernie Els's caddy back in South Africa. He's over for the summer and obviously adjusting to the conditions here very quickly. Ali Forsyth, the would-be Rookie of the Year. Paddy Gribben, disappointing. He needed a top 10 to get into the K Club next week. Same story for Simon Dyson. They were Walker Cup colleagues last autumn. Porter Carrington started with a 67, hasn't been able to maintain that. A good round for Sven Struve, who's been a little up and down this year. He's finished with a 67. Darren Clark hasn't really happened, and Darren, for a player so talented, has never really performed to his potential in the Irish Open. Happy birthday, Andrew Butterfield, who finishes under par. And Thomas Bjorn, we thought might be a feature, but he too has slipped away over the course of the weekend. And Gary Emerson will be very disappointed with his performance so far. 2 under with 4 to play, having set his sights on a top 10 finish at the start of the day. What's coming now? This is a course designed by Pat Ruddy, who's an excellent journalist and course designer. It's called the European, and if I'm not mistaken, it's not too far away from Dublin. He's also responsible, Pat Ruddy, for the new course at Ballylytham, which is one of my favourite places on this world. And you can see what they start with as designers in Ireland. It's magnificent terrain in the first place. You don't need a bulldozer. God has done most of it for you. You just find a route.
Yet again, there'll be another course where the wind has a feature, a permanent feature. The wind hasn't played a part this week. It's just freshened a little. It's just going to cause a little bit of thought coming up those last few.
That's looking south down towards the Dingle Peninsula, and that's where the clouds are coming up against the wind. Don't like the look at those. The clouds that suggest misplane home. Well, let's hope that the golfing gods smile on us. But I don't know, you just had a feeling all week long there might be a little sting in the tail. Beyond the clubhouse, which is relatively new, is the Cashen course. That's the new course here, designed by Robert Trent Jones Sr., who sadly passed away a couple of weeks ago. And, again, it's a question of finding a route through those magnificent dunes. I'm told he's done it very effectively. Now looking to find a route to his second win. Sheldon, who was the terrific player 2 years ago, finished 5th in the Volvo Aldrin Merit, and looked as if he would make the Ryder Cup side for the country club, as Ross McFarlane takes a sip of tea, which is not too likely. Here we are at 13. Now, he's made a couple of threes here as Patrick. Once he chipped in an outrageous three from that bank on the left. He was halfway up there and got away not only with an up and down into the hole for a three. This would be the normal closing hole for the members. It's not a great finishing hole in many ways, because for these pros it's a drive and a wedge.
This in particular bunker you can't see, Sahara at the end of that fairway. There it is, just on the left of your screen.
But you can see why they couldn't make this the 18th of the tournament. There's just not room for the crowds that want to get round an 18th, and if they did try and make room and put stands up, well, they damage this grass, which is so vital to the infrastructure of the course.
Well, right at this very moment, I think Mr. Showland will be cursing that grass. Looks to have found a fairly thick lie. Important for him. The good thing, really, there's a little bit of a V that he's aiming for. If he can get it through there, coming out of this rough, he could scuttle up through. Just a little bit left or a little bit right, and it comes back in. He's had a real good dig at that.
So maybe chance for Freddie Jakobsen. Well, Jakobsen's twice been second on tour. Last week, of course, as you know, and both times been denied by Lee Westwood at a playoff 2 years ago, Knockleshoot. 148 yards uphill, so playing a club longer.
A wind coming from the left.
Very, very friendly kick. But you can almost play for that. I mean, yeah, he knows it's a little lucky because you can occasionally stay out there, but gravity took care of that.
It's a little smile coming across the face. He knows he's got away with something there.
Sergio's second to 12, and I don't know what his targets can be now.
It's just really damage limitation now.
Maybe there's a little Sevi in him. Sevi is staying and playing at the K Club next week. He hasn't gone home. He's been on the practice ground this morning and working hard with Sandy Lyle, which is quite an interesting combination. The blind leading the blind currently strings to mine, but Sandy's actually quite good on the technical side of the game and speaks a lot of sense, so he might be able to help Sevi. Sevi, a very confused genius at the moment. Okay, let's get back to the sharp end of this tournament. And again, it's a blind shot, pretty well for Patrick.
Yes, he'll find it very difficult to go straight at the flag. You can't see it, it's just the right of that Murphy's sign. The only chance he'll really have is going maybe a little bit of left to right swing from the bowl, shape of the green, and get it to gather towards the pin.
Juan Romero just picked up a birdie at 14. He's only dropped one shot in the back nine all week. He's a strong finisher. He's at 7 under for the last 2 holes so far this week. We've got to keep half an eye on him. He's at 9 under.
Go.
And we talked about the course having the last word. It's almost as if it's saying, or she, because it has to be a woman, is saying to Patrick, well, I'll let you get the hold the chip for the 3 one day, but you didn't think I'd let you get away with it all week. That wasn't a sexist remark, by the way. I promise you. This is the grand old lady.
Nice effort again from Rolf. Seems to be missing all the putts on the low side. Seem to be threatening the hole. You can see it just slipping away. 3 shots behind Patrick now.
Mark Davis has just finished with a birdie at 18, a 69. 7 under, check for more than 20,000, which will be very handy. He's going to be pleased with that. Couldn't find his digs on the eve of the tournament, slept in the car, but with the former partner in crime, Rob Lee, shared a hotel room, a couple of good nights sleep, and he's been getting better and better ever since. Good week.
It's quite amazing, really, isn't it? Up and down, like the Blackpool roller coaster. Now Frederick will be watching this very closely. Almost the same line as Patrick. But again, a very weak putt. Not really the putt, the bad shot. The tee shot was the bad one. That's the one that caused the problem.
Well, again, this your Blackpool roller coaster round, it continues because he's 1 par in the last 8 holes now. 4 birdies, 3 bogeys, and a putt which, if he's going to win, he ought to really be making, because he's seen the line, he knows the pace, and it's for a share of the lead. Same line, he can't believe it. But of the contenders, he's the steadiest. He's 1 under. He's only had the 1 bogey.
Seems had quite a few putts of that sort of length. Chances for birdies. Maybe feeling a little bit of tension. Does he feel it's his time to win? Everybody around him is certainly helping him. And it's just a case of who wants it the most at this stage.
Well, I think they all want it, but and I wonder if Des Smith could make the big finish. He's par 13 and 14, 9 under, sharing 4th place. I wonder if he's ruining that missed putt at 12 for birdie. We shall see. Once you feel that the momentum has gone against him, but he's come back a time or two.
There's the line here, just on the right hand edge of the fairway. The wind coming from his left, and that's perfect position for Rolf. Good rhythm on that shot. A little bit unfortunate really, the 11th. 7s for both he and Garcia. Double bogeys on a hole which has been giving out eagles and birdies all day.
Here's the question for you. Adam Scott is allowed a maximum of 7 sponsors' invitations, having turned pro before the end of the season. If he finishes top 10 and gets into the tournament next week as of right, does that mean he can decline the invitation and use it another week? Maybe academic, because there he is finishing his week with a bogey 6. So he's just, although he's at the 69, enjoyed himself, he's at the moment just dropped out of the top 10. But he's a major talent in the making. Maybe he's learned a lot today, got onto the fringes of contention and dropped shots at 16 and 18. And sometimes you have to do that to improve. In fact, always you have to do that to improve.
Yes, he'll learn a lot from today.
14's a harder hole into the wind, off the left, hurting.
As you saw, it's a little bit downhill. Ball wouldn't stop on these very fast running fairways now. It's gone into the juicier semi-rough. Having to use probably a driver off here for the first time this week. And I'll be playing 4 of the last 5 holes into the wind. Well, I think he may find himself very lucky there. Seems to be getting a lot of luck, Patrick, the last couple of days, as we've been seeing. Bounces in, off here, chip-ins.
Well, it can happen on links courses in particular, can't it? Look at the 14. Let me just tell you, Yama Sandlin's dropped the shot at 16, so he's back to 8 under. Dogleg from right to left. There's Sandhills Road that runs along the border of the course, the caravan park away on the right, and quite a long green, narrow approach in the pin today. And they've tucked it away a little bit over on the right hand side as the players look at it.
I see there's still no windows in the houses.
It's the budget, we've had a word. Nick O'Hearn, who's had such a good run over the last 8 weeks or so. Looking for the fast finish, makes that, and he gets to 9 under as well.
As you can see, perfect position for Rolf there. Little V shape just up there, that's those hills you see. Hidden bunkers, you can't see the bunkers. You may just be able to see the top of the flag as the pins back into the green.
How many?
8 or something at the most.
What is it all up? 133.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be past.
Yeah. Yeah, go 125.
Okay.
Good sound advice from Guy's caddy, telling him don't hit it there, not too far, that's your maximum distance. Seemed to make a good swing, good contact, and that's a superb shot from Rolf.
Yeah, caddy and player in perfect harmony.
Of course, they're not ebony and ivory.
Not the Pratt that was playing the piano in our hotel till 5 o'clock in the morning the other night either.
Play that very famous song, Snuffleupagus.
And do you know what? Last night we found that our hotel was next to a disco. Never knew that until last night. Well, not off during the course of the excitement. You understand why. But, lovely week. They gave me the bridal suite. Splendid isolation all week.
Yes, I've been very lucky. Staying at the Marine Links Hotel, where Tom Watson stays. He stays in room 23. Unfortunately, I was 22.
1 under. Now, Nick O'Hearn from Australia, but probably ancestors from these parts. It's a shame. Still a very good round, considering that he started with a double bogey 6. It's his only blemish in the round.
A superb round from the very tall Australian. As there you can see, the double bogey 6 to start, and finishing with a 69. A good week's work.
Just saw Thomas Bjorn there. Thomas, a disappointing closing, 77.
Evidence of the crowds starting to mill down these last few holes.
Go on.
And the bounce didn't go his way that time. We may be quite lucky with the clouds in the background. They seem to be drifting away, Steve.
Well, they look to be going out to sea, which is the best place for them. There's plenty of space out there in the Atlantic.
Not so good for Molly Hope. The fishing boat we saw a little earlier. And a lovely safe shot again from Frederick. Seems to be, like you said, Steve, playing the safest golf. You know, he's not trying to take the pins on when he gets the chance. So the shorter clubs, he's going for the flags. But basically, safe golf, hitting the greens.
Everybody else making mistakes. Paul McGinley with that 6 at 12, and he's picked up a couple of pars since then. Des Smith, not a mistake as such, but missing a chance at 12. Having to settle for a par, missing a birdie putt of about 4 or 5 feet. He's had a couple of pars since then, now at 15. Sometimes looks a little more comfortable over that length than the shorter ones. Good save.
Unfortunately, a bogey 5 for Des.
Well, limiting the damage, and the big numbers can grab you. Just like Gary Emerson was level par for his round today through 10, and then took 8 at 11. He's dropped a couple of shots since.
Now, here's a good view of a bunker shot. Aiming well left with the feet. Slides the club across. Tremendous amount of spin. The bunker's exceedingly good here. Pros really love the sand. It's tightly packed. Just a nice fluffy top. You can find them very good out of these sort of surfaces. So you'll find that Patrick will be a little bit disappointed with that one.
That's our TV complex, all our vehicles, convoy, hemmed in behind the 14th green and the 17th tee. Space is one thing they haven't got here in abundance. This for most people means a 10-minute walk from the car park to the TV compound, but not when you drive with Warren Humphreys, who's never ever been known to stop if he didn't want to. Hudgy followed us in about a half a mile behind, just wanted reaction time. We saw Des Smith save the 5 in effect at the 15th for Eduardo Romero, a double bogey 6. So everybody that looks as if they're going to get into the shake-up slips back. And the man who can keep his head when all around him are losing theirs might be the man to win, and it might be Freddie Jacobsen.
It's really the form horse at the moment. Another outside chance. Probably about the same length as the one he holed on the 9th. Pretty straightforward putt this. There's not a lot of break.
But he's still 1 under for the round, 2 birdies, 2 and 9, and just the 1 drop shot at 5. And sort of round where I guess if you were offered 5 more pars to close, you might be very tempted to take them and take your chance.
So, Patrick now, a little bit of work to do. He's missed a few of these today. Had a couple of short par putts, which hasn't hit with any authority.
This is a card in direct contrast, really, to the steadiness of his fellow competitor, Frederick Jacobsen. 4 birdies, but 3 bogeys, and he's battling to save par here. And there aren't very many pars on the card of late. Only 1 in the previous 8 holes.
Much better strike there. Just lacked a little bit of pace. He had the line, it just peeled away at the end. So, again we have a tie for the lead. Frederick Jacobsen and Patrick Scholand.
This looked as if it had to go in, though.
It's just as it gets to here, it loses pace. So, almost a match play situation for the 2 Swedes.
Perhaps. Rolfmans, chance to make it a 3-way tie, and that was almost the same putt as Scholand, just veered away at the very, very end.
Seems to be a day of who can make the least mistakes, not who makes the most forward leaps.
I don't know if the wind seems to have dropped a little. Maybe it's the storm approaching. But those trouser legs that are fairly narrow anyway aren't flapping about. Makes this 15th touch easier. It's into the breeze.
He's asking it to hold. And that's absolutely perfect. Seems to be the man keeping it in play, hitting the straightest shots, hitting the greens. This really very important hole.
You see the building, the houses away to the right. That's where, in the distance, where where Jose Maria Olazabal and Darren Clark are staying this week. Seve and Bernhard Langer helicoptered in from a hotel in Tralee.
When they pick the tee up that quickly, you can be assured he's hit the short stuff. 2 excellent tee shots from the boys. Just running through another top 10. Barry Lane, I spoke to him after his round today. He went through a couple of interesting choices. His favourite is Pebble Beach. Cypress Point is number 2. Shinnecock Hills, where Corey Pavin won the US Open. Baltusrol, where we saw Lee Jansen take the title away from Payne Stewart. Birkdale, Portmarnock, another wonderful Irish links, Royal Portmarnock. Ballybunion on his list. Knocker, again, the beautiful course there in Holland, in Belgium, I beg your pardon. St Andrews, and guess what? Again, Emirates.
I'd be delighted to hear that over in Dubai, where we have quite a healthy audience in the Middle East as well as down in Africa and New Zealand on this world feed. That was McGinley's 3rd at 15.
It's the slightly willowy swing of Rolf Muntz. I'd have to say, if it doesn't finish in a divot, that's in perfect position for that tight right-hand pin.
Yeah, the Emirates course is going to be the venue, I think, for Dubai Desert Classic after a couple of years at the Creek. I think we're back in the Emirates, where everything is, well, both courses are immaculate, so facilities for the players first class, nothing is too much trouble.
Yes, we've had 2 wonderful years at the Dubai Creek.
It's a little different to here, though, isn't it? Not quite as well. It is as green in parts, but not quite as surrounding areas.
Headed online, but I have to say it's not his favourite distance.
There's following behind. Philip Walton dropped a shot here. He's 2 over today. Out of the top 10, 6 under, share of 18th. Jose Maria Olazabal made a par. He's sharing 20th place at the moment.
And out of all the leading groups, the only person under par today, Frederick Rakibson.
Which means Des Smith, who's level par by comparison, is also playing pretty well.
Absolutely, and also Patrick Sholand, he's level par for the day.
That wind has dropped, you know, Ross.
That'll make the last couple of holes possibly reachable.
Round of 70 for Roger Vessels, finishes at 7 under. That's good enough at the moment for a share of 10th with Adam Scott, who's moved into the top 10 alongside Mark Davis amongst others. So that's a good week for Roger. He just needed to make the cut to guarantee his car for next year. He's done that and then some.
Yes, of course, if Adam Scott stays in the top 10, he is automatically in next week, and sponsors then would have a free spot available for to invite who they'd like. Maybe they would invite Philip Walton on his form this week.
I feel maybe Paddy Griffin, who's 6 over, but he's played a lot of good golf this week. Who knows? We shall see.
Oh, shit.
You've probably heard by his expression, it's not his best shot. It's a very difficult hole, this uphill. He probably had something in the region of 200 yards to go into the wind uphill. The one place you don't miss this is on the right, or short or long. So maybe he's missed it in the only possible place you can.
Maybe Seb is finished on the practice ground. That might be his helicopter taking him back. He'll be staying at the K Club, I'm sure, at the hotel on the banks of the River Liffey. Jarmo Sandelin dropped a shot at 16 and 18 at 69, so he's finished at 7 under. It's some week for Freddie Jakobsen. 63 on day 2 was his low round as a professional. 186. The wind is still there, but it's just a whisper now.
Frederick with a 3-iron. It's right at the flag. What a magnificent shot. Who's your money on, Steve?
It's staying in the pocket at the moment because he's looking very strong, isn't he, Jakobsen? But Muntz is not out of it. Sheridan certainly isn't. But it is looking to be between those three.
Really stick your neck out, Steve, when asked. It is definitely between those three.
Where's your money then?
My money's, I bet you a pint of Murphy's, Freddie Jakobsen is the winner.
He'll be the 11th first-time winner on tour this year, and he's due third, second, maybe first. We shall see. Certainly the experience that he picked up last week, and knowing that he pushed Lee westward all the way, will stand him in good stead. He made one mistake really, and it was an easy mistake to make it. 16 and Slady Hall, difficult drive.
One shot behind, chasing the lead Swedes. The Laughing Dutchman, as he likes to be called. Not the Flying Dutchman, but the Laughing Dutchman. Hasn't been doing too much laughing today.
And again, just has to grin and bear it.
Maybe a little smile could just take the tension out of the shoulders.
Now that's the ball Patrick Sheridan after 2 shots at 15. Des Smith, by the way, made his 3 at 16. Eduardo Romero dropped another shot, so he's out of the picture now. Des still at 8 under in 6th place.
Edward O. Romero, they call him here. As I was saying, if you're going to miss this green, this is probably the one place you have a good chance of getting up and down. Patrick has a very good short game. Has used it to quite a lot over the last few days. That's a wonderful shot. Got that ball to land very softly on the green. Sets up an excellent chance.
Second hardest hole on the course, 6 for Romero. There was a 6 for Paddy Gribben. He was in his second spell as a pro, and was disappointed he didn't get an invite to the K Club next week. And he's not going to get one through a top 10 place, but he started the day at 7 under, 6 over for his round a day. So it's taken a lot out of him, but who knows? There might be a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Read on this one.
Yes, this is a very fast putt, very slightly from right to left. Not a great deal of break. Doesn't really want to hit this more than a ball outside the right, but he won't be able to give it too much pace.
Quite a few of these. Yeah. Got this one. Yeah, you don't keep missing him. And he's into the lead.
Able to buy him a pint later, courtesy of Mr. Beddoe.
As we see no sign of the fat lady yet, because now he leads, different sort of mindset, different sort of pressures.
Absolutely, Steve, as a former leader of men.
Astray. Good up and down for Patrick to stay now in 2nd place.
Patrick probably thinking very much about his finish last night. 2-4-4 finish on this. Rolf makes a par 4 on the 14th. 2 shots behind now.
There was a 4 there also for Garcia, who's been relegated to sideshow. In an afternoon he was expected to be the top attraction. Applause from enthusiastic Irish fans. Great shot, you heard, but in truth it wasn't. Paul will know that better than anyone.
I think in particular he was in a little bit of a downslope. Very difficult to get any flight on the ball.
Freddie Jakobsen by 1, 3 to play. Looks to be between those top 3 now. 66, the return of Peter Lonard. Bradley Dredge probably going to get his highest finish as a professional after a round of 65. Into the bunker, and that might be the end of Rolf Munz's chances. And in truth, he hasn't been on his best form. I think it is difficult when you've missed 6 cuts in a row, and suddenly you find you're making putts and making birdies. When the pressure's on and it starts to slip away from you, there's not too much to draw on. Now on the 16th, where Paul McGinley failed to get up and down out of the bunker, dropping back with a shot. He's at -8 now. Simon Dyson playing with him also dropped his shot, and he's having one of those days. 7 over. At the moment, there's a sense of almost destiny about Freddie Jakobsen's game. The caddy say what little wind there is from the right. So confirmation really from Patrick Sholin's caddy that the wind really has just died away. It may be that we just get the job done this afternoon, and maybe the storm clouds will arrive, and those who are looking forward to playing tomorrow might find the conditions a little more the norm. Mistake from Sholand. Six at the last hole for Paddy Gribben. He's finished with a 78 level par. This is the 16th. And Patrick Sholin's ball, I don't think is in the bunker, I'm not sure, but it's certainly away to the left. And the one saving grace. He's got a bit of green to work with.
There's the pin on the front right. We're on 16, 220-yard par 3.
He just popped out for a minute there, and confirmation the wind certainly seems to have dropped.
Yes, definitely. I wandered out to the 17th tee. Noticed the wind has just changed direction a little bit. A little more across the players as they play the last couple of holes. Just turned a quarter.
What about those storm clouds?
And they seem to be scudding away down out the mouth of the Shannon River.
Good. Sixth at last also for Gary Emerson, who's finished in the Sheriff 40th place now at 1 under. Disappointing afternoon, and Rolf Munz's second shot at 15. That's all he could do.
Yes, Gary Emerson. I spoke to Gary. He also gave me a top 10. His top 10 favourite courses. One of them being Sun City down in a wonderful South
The
Africa.
Gary Player course.
The PGA West. Cherokee in Atlanta, the Vines in Australia, in Perth, Wentworth, one of the favourites of the pros, Ferndown,
down there in the outskirts of Bournemouth.
and Ballybunion is also in his top. Maybe not after today.
Wow.
Muirfield, another wonderful links course, Turnberry,
Yep.
and, would you believe it, the Emirates.
There we are again. So you have the votes of the Norwegian jury.
0 points.
No, well, he is in the Patrick Shell. I wasn't sure if he was in the bunker. He is. Which he isn't. This is a very, very difficult shot. I mean, he's quite close to the face as well, Ross.
Yes, he has to be very careful with his footing here. One thing he does have going for him, that there's quite a little bit of slope. Very agile young man.
Yeah, would you fancy that shot?
Wouldn't mind being in his position at the moment. Only one shot off the lead. Very difficult, very easy to fall back in towards the trap. If you do that, the hosel of the golf club may come in towards the ball. It's quite steep, the bank that runs down towards the pin, so it's really important that he just pops it out from where he is. It will release down towards the hole. Watch how open that club face is. Steep attack. And that's probably about as good as he could have done from there. The damage was done from the tee shot.
Smith at the 17th, where Jose Maria Olazabal and Philip Walton playing in front of his made birdie fours. Walton into the top 10 at 7 under, sharing 9th. So no worse than the par at the 18th. Should do for Philip to get him into next week. There's the run for Freddie Jacobsen, the 4th place at the French National, and then 3rd at Celtic Manor, and 2nd at Slaley Hall in the Compact European Grand Prix, and that's back to back as far as Freddie was concerned. He didn't play in between in the English Open, so he's looking for the old 3-2-1.
That's the old Ted Rogers. This, again, very safe tee shot. Lovely sweet stroke there from Frederick.
So bronze, silver, and now he's looking for Kerry Gold.
So the 3rd shot for Rolf and this dangerous 15th. It's an open stance there, Rolf has, cutting it up. It's a lovely shot. Maybe he hasn't given up yet.
I don't think he should, because you never know, but Jakobsen's starting to look very solid, and even the wind dying away a little bit is working in his favour. The man at the head of affairs should be able to boss this tournament, particularly Patrick Sheridan fails to convert this and slips 2 behind. He's a great, gutsy little player, isn't he? Did it yesterday and finished birdie, birdie, birdie. Well, only a par at 16 today, but might just be as important as a birdie.
Yes, that'll feel like a birdie to Patrick. That'll just give him maybe the impetus he needs for the last couple of holes. Maybe just out of range in 2 for both these golfers. Nice and solid there from Frederick. He's seems to be in complete control at the moment. Like a swan on the top of the water, graceful, but underneath paddling like mad.
They've both been in one playoff apiece, and neither have won. Just going to try and find out where Patrick Sholin's playoff came. Can you remember? I know that Freddie lost to Lee Westwood at Knockalazoo.
Now, Rolf Muntz with a very similar putt to Frederick. A little bit downhill, right to left, just a touch. Very important putt this for Rolf. Hasn't made any of these all day. That's a fantastic four.
I was going to say, you don't normally start, if you haven't made them all day, you don't normally start going down the stretch, but that's one against the trend, and keeps his hopes alive. Just. I think, had he missed that, then there would have been no way back. 2 holes to go. And we're just hearing from the course that the wind has turned round and is helping at 17. Beat against all day, helping at 17 and not doing you too much harm at 18. He leads by 1.
It'll make the last 2 holes in range,
Downstairs, please.
which could be quite important for Frederick. And Frederick's been very solid off the tee today. It's quite a tight tee shot.
Doesn't want to go left. Well, I wonder. He may still get away with the 5, but I think I can't see any way he can get on in 2 from there. And maybe the first sign of nerves.
Now Patrick usually hits the ball right to left. On the right hand side, picking the tee up briskly. And why not indeed? That's an absolutely perfect tee shot. Just in a very, very light semi-rough there. But not too far from the green. That's some 280 yards from the tee. The 2 bunkers on the left-hand side. He's just by this second bunker coming up on the left of your screen. From there, that should leave him with something in the region of 215 yards to the front of the green.
I don't know how you can put the street lights in the road and not put the windows in the houses. There's the pin today.
Pin on the front right. It's been on the back of this green basically most of the week. Confirmation really that the wind has turned round.
McGinley looking to go 6 under for the week on this 17. Goodness, 2 eagles and 2 birdies. What a hole that's been, and how many punts might that earn him? And he's also birdied the 18 3 times down the 3. It's a golden stretch for the Irishman. 10 under. He'll be ruining that 6 at 12.
Now the wind slightly against and from the right. region of 4 iron for Rolf.
Sit down. Sit down.
It's going a little bit to the left, I fear.
Probably in the same bunker that Paddy Sholan finished in a moment or two ago.
Not a pin you can go straight at this, Steve. There's a nasty grassy hollow just short of that pin, directly as the players look. So he was aiming for the opening of the green on the left-hand side. A little tight in the lips. Of course, his partner Sergio Garcia 7 over for today, only 6 under for his round. He's in a tie for 18th spot, having just made a bogey on the 15th hole. The stewards have done a wonderful job this week. They've had a lot of ball spotters on this thick grass, and the boys have been carrying those big boards around with all the scores. I'm sure they would have found it very difficult if there was a wind blowing. It's turned out to be another beautiful day.
This is the way Freddie Jakobsen's played so far this week, and he was 10 under for the par 5s before the start of the day. He's played 2 so far, just making pars, and you do well to make birdie here. But par may be good enough, but Sholan's got a cracker away. Of course, Jakobsen, having got himself into a little bit of trouble, has to make sure that he gets out onto the fairway. That's the first priority.
Especially where this pin is tight on the front right hand side. He needs to be coming from the fairway to be able to control his shot, his third shot. There's a blind shot from here, has to pick a point. Maybe one of the roofs you can just see popping out of the top of your screen there. Of course, we don't really know how the lie is, but he seems to have plenty of loft. And I think that's gone left.
Just the club head tangling up in the rough, and that might be worse. He had to get it out on the fairway, and he was paid the price maybe for being a little greedy.
Yes, there's a possibility there. Even if he'd just got a sand wedge out and pushed it forward, he still would have been able to reach in 3. Maybe have gone a little too deep into his bag, trying to gain another 40 or 50 yards. There you go, Patrick able to reach this green with an iron.
230 wind helping. Oh, has that gone away a little? No. Unlucky.
So, leaving quite a tough chip from there. There is a bunker down there. He may have just missed that.
Well, it's a similar stance. All that has changed is the nationality of the player and the length of the inside leg. It's shown them before, and now this is even harder. Sergio Garcia, by the way, dropped another shot at 15. He's 7 over for his round. Two-horse race, sadly. This next one's no gimme.
Still be a tough life for Rolf. Up until today, he'd only been in 1 bunker this week. Managed to get up and down.
He's still only been in 2. Oh, the wretched spot at the back, wasn't there? But that's seaside golf, and that's why they put these little pot bunkers there. And even if you're Tiger Woods, you're getting 1 or 2 of those, you might struggle. As you might find out at St Andrews, who knows?
Sid slipping away from him.
Well, Philip Wharton's finished with a 5 at the last 72 share of 9th. Would you believe Jose Maria Olazabal finished 4-4 at 17-18, a 71 share of 9th. He's kept that record going. Top 10 yet again. He's never been lower than 9th in around about 10 or 11 Irish Opens that he's played. Well, first shot then for a leader, 17.
Again, his ball seems to have found an extremely thick lie.
He's just never got it back in position. Just amazing from looking in control and playing, if not a safety first game, but keeping it in play, hitting fairways, hitting greens. Suddenly it must just be the pressure. Lack of experience perhaps, I don't know, but having hit the bad drive, he had to get it back in play.
Yes, I'm sure those things will be going through his mind now. He needs to put those away.
Paul McGinley won't be concentrating on 18 at the moment, but when he sits down over cool, reflective pint of the stout, maybe this evening just looks back. That putt he missed at 11 for equal, and then the double bogey at 12 might have been his. All ifs and buts were pots and pans. It would have been different pressures if he'd been leading, but it is turning into an afternoon. You wonder who wants it, or who can claim it. I think it may still be Jakobsen to play, Ross.
Yes. Of everybody playing these last few holes, Fredrik Jakobsen, the only one under par for his round. Paul McGinley, after chipping in at level, 10 under. And Patrick Scholen just one behind now, looking to be in strong position. He's level par for the day.
Just a word about that performance from Philip Wharton to come here and get top 10. It won't end his money worries. 10th place or share of 9th is around about £20,000, which is not to be sneezed at and will be very useful for Philip, but more to the point, if he could repeat that or something similar next week, he'd be very close to regaining a card. He would not want, believe me, to go back to the tour's court at San Roque.
The only person who can actually oust Mr. Olazabal from a 9th spot is Eduardo Romero, can claim an 8th spot or a 6th spot with a birdie on the last. But as Steve said, I think it's 11 out of 11 top 10s for Jose.
Well, he will have missed a couple with his foot problems during the middle of the 90s when he couldn't play, but it's certainly a very impressive record. 4 shots now for Jakobsen. Eduardo Romero making a 4 here at 17, playing with Des Smith, who made the 5 there, on the way up 18 now. 4 2-balls left out on the course. Big shot for Patrick Scholen, a possible 2-shot swing.
There's that bunker I mentioned to you. Ball seems to be sat down a little bit. The blade way open. And that's a lovely shot. That's about as good as he could have done from there. Honestly, feeling confident that he could just throw that ball up in the air.
This is Des Smith with never those. This is for part, very important putt. Would keep him in a share of 6th place. Well done, what a good week. It started with a 65, he dug deep to keep it going, and finishes with a level par 71. Ross McFarlane in the commentary box is quietly applauding. But at the age of 47, it doesn't get any easier. And that's Des Smith's best performance, probably for at least a couple of years. A share of 6th place. Roll on the seniors tour.
Yes, of course, we did mention earlier David Carter, former winner 2 years ago. He slips into the top 10 and tie for 9th, along with Bernhard Langer, Adam Scott, Jarmo Sandlin, Roger Vessels, Jose Maria Lazabal,
10 of them.
Philip Walton.
10 of them. And, sharing 9th, but the big news, Freddie Jakobsen has dropped his 2nd shot of the day. He's back to 13 and he's sharing the lead with Patrick Scholand, but Scholand has a putt for the lead with 1 to play. And this is it. It's not that long. If this was a Sunday afternoon friendly 4-ball, you probably wouldn't even think twice about it, but this might be for the Murphy's Irish Open. Yeah, he's got it, he knows how important that is. So another swing of the pendulum. Patrick Scholand walks to the 18th tee with his fellow countryman Freddie Jakobsen. It's between those two, and Scholand has a precious 1-shot lead. 552 yards remain. And Muntz coming off a 5 at 16. It's 4 behind and out. He needed an eagle at 17. He won't get that now.
Now I went with the 3-wood off the tee, with a little bit of help from the wind. I get it up in the air. Important shot for Paul. A little overcautious, I feel.
The 18th, there was a birdie for Eduardo Romero, who's gone into a share of 6th. All those that were sharing 9th now into a share of 10th, and they should still make that top 10, and those that need to will make next week, unless Sergio Garcia decides to finish birdie, in which case they'll all be sharing 11. There'll be a lot of very disappointed men around the 18th.
There's a lot of cavernous bunkers there awaiting a stray tee shot. A big bunker there with that small pot one over it, that's protecting a missed drive. Green fairly square in shape, you can see by the graphic. The pin yet again very friendly.
Has to find the fairway. Over the 17th, just running out of fairway, don't go in the bunker. Got away with it. And the line doesn't look to be that bad. Not the greatest drive he's ever hit in his life.
Sure, the old nerves jangling a little now.
And somewhere in on the continent of Europe, his partner Ulrika and baby son, I'm sure Hugo will be watching. Jakobsen, can he come back again? No, that's the 2nd bad drive. This time pushed it way right. There's out of bounds there. I think he may be in bounds, but he might be unplayable depending how close he is to the fence, and that might be it.
Yes, we saw a tee shot similar to that on the 17th by Retief Goosen earlier this week, and his finished right up close to the...
Is there any relief from the fence? I don't think it's an integral part of the course, is it?
Yes, an out-of-bounds fence is an integral part. No relief. But a very outside chance of a birdie for Paul. It'll be a big cheer if this one goes in.
It's a share of 3rd place at the moment, with Rolf Mintz in a little bit of trouble off the 17th tee. It's been a very good week for Paul McGinn. He'd only ever played here once before, that as an amateur when he was defending Irish Amateur Champion. He went out in the 1st round to A man called Gary McNeil, who went on to win the Irish and is now the club professional at Royal Portrush. So it's been a successful return for McGinley. Got a bit lucky here.
Yeah, Rolf very lucky to finish that. Very steep uphill lie. Does the important thing, gets it on the fairway.
Does exactly what Freddie Jacobsen should have done. And it's not hindsight, we said it at the time, and maybe trying to overcorrect for the hook drive. He's pushed it up the right, and they've called for a referee. And you have a ruling to suggest it's very close to the fence. Don't know if he can actually creep and crawl underneath, whether there's any room. It would be cruel. Now we're talking about Paul McGinley, sharing third at the moment. He's just got this one to polish off. Now this is for a round of 71. Having a very good season. He took a week or two off before this week. It's paid off. Paul McGinley refreshed, leader in the clubhouse for a little while. So he's delighted the home fans.
Yes, he'll be very pleased to finish top Irishman. Quite an accolade for these boys.
Simon Dyson, who's had a day which you can put down to experience, really. It's the first time he's been in this situation as a pro. I don't know his score for 18, but he was 7 over, stood on the tee, so he's slipped out of dreams of a top 10 place, but he'll be back again. And Freddie Jacobsen, oh, well, even if they can find it, I don't know if they can play it. Let's see if we can listen in. One of our guest referees, I think he's Swedish. That would stop him being anything but impartial.
Can we move back, please?
Referee telling us that it's inbounds, but it's certainly unplayable, so he can now take 2 clubs relief and will be playing 3.
Yes, his choices there were hitting it, going back to where he originally played the shot from, back on the tee.
Well,
Or 2 club lengths, or keeping the point between him and the hole. He can't do that because he'd be going back over the fence and onto the road, which is out of bounds. You can't drop a ball out of bounds. He's just making sure he doesn't drop it nearer to the hole. And he'll be feeling very sick inside. He's just making sure that the ball isn't any nearer the hole. If it's nearer the hole, he has to drop it again. For those of you who understand Swedish, you know exactly what was going on there. Basically, the ball finished nearer to the hole, so he has to re-drop it within the 2 club lengths. See, there's a little bit of a pathway there where the greenkeepers have been running along. So his line may not be too bad. He seems to be running towards the hole, so he'll be able to get a pretty good club on this. Patrick quite a way further up with a better drive, but he's in the semi-rough as well. There's a good chance of sealing this tournament. You can see that narrowish fairways here. They're very fast running. and sweating a little from the situation. As I said, good chance of getting a big club at it. And I can assure you the ball will fly out of here with very little backspin.
It's £111,000 for second place. And I know he swapped the money for the title almost, but looks as if he's still trying to win.
A good strike, and there's all the top spin I was telling you about. And he's made a very good job of that.
But surely a par will now do for Patrick Sholen. Freddie Jacobsen would have to hold that for a birdie, and if Patrick Sholen makes a par and he's one shot ahead, well, that will be okay. It'd be interesting to see what he takes for his second. Maybe the iron. Difficult to call it really on an afternoon such as this when everybody's made a mistake or two, but Patrick Sholen is a fairly experienced campaigner and he's gone for the iron.
I think also the lie probably determining the club. He knows all he has to do. There's a nasty old bunker, probably about 200 yards from him, hidden in the right hand side. I think this ball might be heading towards it.
Ooh, well, that's okay, but only just.
Catalogue of errors coming in. Shows you the scoring might have been so good on this course this week, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, this old girl bites back.
Well, good news for those sharing 10th is Sergio Garcia has made just a par at 17, so probably can't deny that Posse a top 10 finish. Rolf Muntz is a birdie, which you could still have a say at the death in this tournament, but not now.
He had a chance of birdie, which Freddie didn't. Played the hole sensibly.
And in truth, he's not had a good day, has he? I mean, he's dropped those 2 shots in the first 3 holes, and though he fought back and did pretty well to get to the turning 35, all went wrong at 11 where he took 7. And then another double at 16, and he's 5 over for this round. The order of merit then. Darren Clark, just a small check, but in improving his lead. Porter Carrington's had a generally disappointing week, so not much has happened. I suppose Freddie Jacobsen, who's 26 at the moment, he got a second with 110,000. He might just get into that top 10, which would be some reward for his efforts. Actually, £111,000 would be quite a reward for his efforts, thinking about it.
There's quite a few 100,000 kroner, but yet again, a nasty lie. One thing that he'll probably be thinking of here, doesn't want the ball to fly, needs to try and get some control. Can't run this in, there's quite a steep bank facing him. A bit of a dip there, just over the bunker in front of him. Dead ground. Seems to like it.
It's okay, he's very close now. And he managed to share a second place in the desert, Dubai, in the creek, behind Jose Caceres. Surely now Patrick Sholen will go one better and clinch his second win. His biggest win, having won the Italian Open in '98 over 54 holes at the rain-sodden Casa Conturbia course. And what a few weeks it's been. A father for the first time. Wife sweet. and it's unlikely, but could there be just one final twist in the tail? I think he's got a chance. Nearly in on the fly. Just a little sigh of relief.
So Patrick was eyeing that up and down as much as Frederick was. And now it's a chance for Patrick to enjoy the applause from this wonderful crowd.
The hat comes off, the glasses stay on. The cool Swede kept his head when others were losing theirs, and it wasn't easy. He had his ups and downs. Sheldon on the verge around that contained 4 drop shots. He's had to dig deep. Freddie Jakobsen is going to have to put up with a heartbreak, really, of second for 2 weeks running. Last week wasn't so bad because he did pretty well, and you felt Lee Westwood was always in control. This one will hurt.
Great view there of the throng around this 18th.
Now he just wants to roll this up nice and close. Doesn't want a 4-footer or anything like that, because Jakobsen will still be thinking, well, I can make 5 of the 3 putts, then we would have a playoff.
Yes, of course, Patrick has missed a few of that sort of length today.
He has. I mean, this is not an easy golf course, and the conditions have been the toughest today that they've been. But I think you're right. It has been a catalogue of areas. They've had to keep the pace. And I think it's been classic links golf, really. Some good bounces, some bad bounces, and you just had to sort of try and chart an even path. So Sheldon won't be taking anything for granted. This one's it's a good 40 feet.
It's about halfway to the hole. You'll see the ball gathering a little bit of pace. It's all downhill from where he is here. But roll it down.
That will do. Mark, enjoy. All that he's learned along the way, the setbacks of not fulfilling his Ryder Cup potential after such a good 1998 in the memory bank, and he wasn't about to make a mistake when the chance presented itself. Probably thought it had gone. Remember, he trailed by 1 with 2 to play, and 2 wild drives from Freddie Jakobsen opened the door. And, he'll sleep well tonight. It's taken a bit out of him. Well, no pressure now really for Jakobsen, because he's 3 shots clear of Rolf Muntz. Second place secure, you would think.
Fairly straightforward putt this. Not a lot of break.
Would have been some 5. But he finishes 6-6, and it will take him a while to get over that. So that will burn for quite a while. You lead by 1 with 2 to play. You finish bogey, bogey. And even £111,000 per second won't compensate for a while.
Final round, 71 from Frederick.
Lots of good things about the week. 69, 63, 69, but it's the 2 6s that he will remember. So just a short tap in for Patrick Sholen, a man who kept the faith and has won the Murphy's Irish Open. It started to go wrong on the back nine yesterday, but he finished birdie, birdie, birdie to resurrect his chances. And every time he took a dive today, he came back with a birdie. And in the end, the decisive birdie was the one at 17. He finished 4-5 and turned a two-shot deficit into a two-shot advantage. Patrick Sholen wins the Murphy's Irish Open.
Well, he couldn't get any more interesting than that, Steve. Toing and throwing all the way down the stretch. Of course, there's still one more group out there.
Must be for someone that turned up late for the party, but that's the fate of Sergio Garcia and Rolf Muntz. Because Patrick Sholen has stolen the prize.
Of those last 5 or 6 groups, the only person under par. And a round of 65 of Bradley Dredge early in the day hoists him up to 6th place in a share with Nick O'Hearn and Des Smith and Eduardo Romero.
Yeah, check for best part of £30,000 for Bradley Dredge, which should just about secure his card. Handshakes for Patrick Sholen. That was Paul McGinley's caddy, and Paul McGinley himself there, just being among the first to congratulate Patrick Sholen. Been some week, isn't it? I mean, 4 mostly calm days, a little bit of breeze this morning, and that's all it needed. And at the end, even that dropped away. But we won't forget Ballybunion.
And a great experience for all these players to play a course of this stature. There's the beautiful views you get from this golf course. I'm sure those views could be pretty wild at times, but not this week. 4 fantastic days. And really, at the beginning of the week, they were saying, could anyone break par?
Well, it's not over till it's over, but it is really. Because Rolf Muntz, it's all gone very quiet around 18 and Muntz. He needs a birdie to take outright third on his own. In the moment he shares it with Paul McGinley, both players 10 under.
Still lots and lots of discussion.
It's not helping really. It's not there.
134. 134 yards. Maybe just left to right breeze. You can see the flags there just above his head. Not really blowing. But the most difficult thing here is controlling the spin of the ball. Asking the ball to hurry up. He cut it up, trying to get some control on the ball. But, everything seemed to be at an end with this pairing on the 11th hole, where they both took double bogey 7s, and a hole where eagles and birdies were aplenty.
And there's to be no successful defence for Sergio Garcia. I wonder whether Rolf Muntz really had enough in reserve with no real form since Qatar, and so it's transpired. But the fate of Sergio Garcia, a little bit of surprise in the When the wind was blowing, he fell foul of the 4th hole. The humps and hollows, the swales, of outrageous fortune for Sergio in 7. Rolfman's over all those, had a good week. Another handsome check. I'd like to go on and on about the money, but it does help. 3rd place, 62,600, 50,000 sterling for 4th, so 2 putts from here, and he shares it with Paul McGinley, so he's looking about the best part of 55 grand. Not bad for a week's work.
There's plenty of Kerry gold up for offers.
I'm not sure Sergio's got onto this green in 2 if he hasn't. A putt for eagle. He'd disappoint an awful lot of people if it went in. In 10th place at the moment, Cabrera, Carter, Langer, Mark Davis, Adam Scott, Sandlin, Vessels, Olafable and Wharton. A little scallywag might just knock him out of the top 10. And it is for eagle. He wouldn't, would he?
I'll bet you the pint.
I bet it's not sure.
Downhill all the way. Good strike.
You can hear the sigh of relief from all those 7 under. Sergio may join them if he makes that, and nothing can disguise the disappointment of he thought was going to be a special afternoon for the young Spaniard, but he hasn't quite been at his best this week or this year.
His form been very much up and down.
Autographs galore from there's the back view of our champion.
A great following of golf here in Ireland. The crowds are always most appreciative of the good golf.
Yeah, there'll be big crowds next week across on the outskirts of Dublin at the K Club, and 3 weeks after that the seniors will be on show. Royal County Down up there across the border in Northern Ireland. Tom Watson playing that. Jack Nicklaus we hear as well against Tommy Horton, Brian Huggett and Neil Coles, and Europe's finest. Of himself will be playing Christy O'Connor Senior. He was here Pro-Am Day.
This for 3rd on his own. You almost feel that the crowd there were willing that ball out.
Just up there close, Rob, but not too close.
All in all, it's been a wonderful week for Rolf. Nice to get back some of the form that saw him with the heights of his victory. Qatar, another wonderful golf course. Excellent facilities there at the Doha.
Yeah, it's an oasis of golf, isn't it? Marvellous feat of golf course engineering. Rolf Munso finishes with a 76, and in truth he was struggling right from the off, but the damage done after the turn. And I think he probably knows deep down when I wasn't quite playing well enough today. It wasn't a question of good or bad luck, it just didn't happen.
Well, the one thing that he didn't do that he'd been doing all week was hit the greens, and that was the important thing on a day like today.
So perhaps only fitting that it's the defending champion who will relinquish the trophy, but will have the last say. Got this for a top 10 finish.
Not a bad defence of his title.
No, but he will feel it could and should have been so much better. There's a 77. A wry smile to finish. Well, they both had their troubles.
But El Nino didn't blow today.
No, he was blown away, I think, by, would you believe, a short game that let him down. Are you off?
I had an itchy ear, actually, from listening to the producer.
So that's it. In a moment, we bring you the presentation ceremony and a word with Patrick Shoden, a clearly delighted Patrick Shoden. So we'll long remember Ballybunion. The locals amazed that it stayed so calm, and for a while, when the wind got up, the course was having a decisive say in the outcome of this tournament. Perhaps only fitting that at the end it died away and allowed the golfers to take over. Patrick Shoden winning by 2 from Freddie Jacobsen, Sweden 1-2. McKinley sharing third with Muntz, the overnight leader. 66 for Lonard. Great week for Des Smith. He'd be absolutely tickled pink by that at the age of 47. And Bradley Dredge, big week as well. His biggest check as a professional for sure. Mark Davis starting the traffic jam of those, sharing 10th place. And they are almost a page of them. Wonderful display from Adam Scott again. It's a shame he just finished a little quietly. He had a chance to really secure his car for next year, but I think that's just a question of time. He's got so much talent. Bernhard Langer, so professional as ever. Olaf Arbel yet again. That's his lowest finish in the Irish Open. 10th. Philip Walton's had a good week. And then others picking up checks. Important for Andrew McClarty, Jeremy Robinson. Porter Carrington, after a good start with the 67, will be a little disappointed with his overall display. But he's not got a great record in the Irish Open, and it is hard. Everybody wants a piece of your time in Ireland, particularly if you're Irish. 67 for Sven Struve. Darren Clark again, he like Padraig, hasn't got a great record. Never made a top 10 in the Irish Open. That's something that he will want to rectify in the not too distant future. Happy birthday, Andrew Butterfield. Disappointment for Gary Emerson, an 8 at the 11 scuppered his chances. Paddy Griven slipping back, but overall not a bad week, just a disappointing Sunday. 77 for Thomas Bjorn as well. 83 players made the cut, which came at an incredible level par. I mean, believed it would be possible. And it was a 65 for Stephen Hamill, who used to be on the tour. Tony Johnson finishing with a 70 today. Ian Woosnam, two-time winner, never really got to grips with the course. Lucas Parsons never built on a first round 65. David Lynn, 16 cuts out of 60. He's getting tired, but he's still making money. Mark Murphy, the amateur, who was out with a marker today. What a week he's had. And he will know that Paul McGinley, Darren Clark all made the cut as amateurs in this Irish Open. He will be hoping to follow in their footsteps. Greg Turner arrived raving about the course, and he's a very honest man, is Greg. He will still love it, even though he's finished at 9 over. Well, you probably know a feature of the week has been Toby Pinchcombe as being the artist of the computer. His salute to our champion in the year 2000, Patrick Shoden. Well, that's Ballybunion, and now some of us fly back to London, work to do, but we'll be back for Thursday, back in this commentary box, back on the links for Ross McFarland, and we're across the other side of Ireland, just on the outskirts of Dublin at the K Club, almost as quickly as that. And this is where we will have the Smurfit European Open. Last year, the first 2 days belonged to Darren Clark, a 60 on day 1, a hole-in-one on day 2. Colin Montgomery couldn't believe it. Peter O'Malley went well. Clark looked a favourite to win a commanding lead going into the final day. Funny old game golf though, and a Along came Lee Westwood, 7 behind at the start of the final round, his great rival and friend. But Westwood prevailed, and after a week off, he'll be looking to make it 2 wins in a row on his personal schedule at the K Club. That's next week, the Smurfit European Open. Hope I can have your company there from Thursday onwards. And the town of Ballybunion will be back to normal probably tomorrow. A lot of people staying on tonight, and they'll be celebrating. They've got an extension tonight as well. There'll be a party.
I think they call them exemptions over here.
Exemption, yeah. Yeah, I suppose, 1 or 2 year exemption. You got a 5-year exemption, maybe that's what it means. Well, the waters of the Shannon Estuary, relatively calm. We're just waiting now for the presentation and the interview with the winner with our colleague from Sky Sports, David Livingstone. Just making the final preparations. Those storm clouds stayed away. And, well, if you do get the chance, we promised you at the start of the week that at the end of this week you would want to come and play this course. If you get the chance, just move heaven and earth to get here. And you may not play as well as Patrick Sholen, but you will enjoy it. Sholen's enjoyed his week.
And also alongside Patrick, our presentation party, Mr. Brendan O'Sullivan, Vice Captain of Ballybunion Golf Club, lucky man. Dr. Jim McDade, Minister of Sport and Tourism here in Ireland, and representing the sponsors here, Murphy's Managing Director for Ireland, Mr. Padraig Liston, and the champion. Now, Patrick, it's been a couple of years since you've picked up a trophy. There's a lot changed for you, not just in terms of golf, but in your whole life.
Yeah, it has. Just became a father like 7 weeks ago, and this feels good, but not as good as being a father. But it's a great feeling right now, and it's been, as you said, almost a little bit more than 2 years, and it was definitely worth waiting for.
I just wonder if you're aware of what the name Patrick means in this part of the world and what it might be changed to in the future. Are you aware of that?
Not really.
Well, see, Patrick is a very Irish name, and although yours is not spelt quite the same way, you might be known as Paddy Sholen from now on. Would you like that?
I mean, Porter Harrington calls me that every now and then, so I'm quite used to it.
Okay, so what does this mark in your career now that you have such a happy personal life? You're back on the winning trail again. Where do you go from here?
I don't know. Hopefully more trophies, and we'll see. I mean, just gonna enjoy it for now, and then we'll see what happens.
I think it's pretty obvious to everyone just how much this means to you. So we're going to let you savour the moment. You can pick up that fabulous Waterford Crystal trophy, and we'll have the crowd here who have waited to salute their year 2000 Murphy's Irish Open champion.
20 inches tall. It took 7 craftsmen, 22 hours each to make it all the traditional Waterford crystal skills embodied. What a handsome piece of crystalware to put on your mantelpiece. Looking across the Atlantic, and all those years ago, radio signals, the first speech, reached out from the town of Ballybunion across to Canada. And these pictures have reached all around the world, and many have enjoyed seeing, perhaps for the first time, the old links of Ballybunion. Well, it's a big time for European golf after the visit to the K Club next week. It's across to Scotland, to Loch Lomond for the Standard Life. Big money again, then the Open Championship. It's an exciting job this. You never quite know what's coming next. I'm told it's the story of the week. So without the aid of a safety net or notes, here goes. Johan Skold with a 65 as Des Smith took the headlines and enjoyed the limelight. Ian Garbett also went well. Lucas Parsons found his putting touch, and Mark Williams was in the commentary box, his caddy. Sergio opened his defence in fine style at 64 and a share of the lead. The young Swede, Patrick Sholen. Proud dad, good golfer. come Friday and still it didn't blow, and they couldn't believe it, shaking their heads in amazement. Massimo Scarpa bogeyed the last but still managed to 63, and so did Freddie Yakerston. Low rounds of their lives. Rolf Muntz hadn't done anything since winning Qatar. The 64 launched the Dutchman into the frame again, but would you have believed that 13 under would lead at the halfway stage? If they'd said that at the start of the week, I'd have said you've been on the Murphys, Paddy. Sergio had to dig deep, finishing with 3 birdies to keep in contention going into round 3. Scholen led by 1. It was nip and tuck. Backwards and forwards. Garcia, Muntz. In the end, Muntz a 2-shot lead. And so to Sunday, when the wind blew a little. Nervous start for Muntz. He dropped shots at the first and the third. Garcia took 7 at 4. McGinley threatened, fell away. And we wondered who could win. We knew they all wanted to. Freddie Yakerston led by 2. And led by 1 with 2 to play. But he finished 6-6, and Scholen came through. 2-shot swing at 17. Par did the trick at 18. A dad 5 weeks ago, a champion. And for Paddy Scholen, life is sweet. Check for over £166,000, but memories, and you can't spend those. Disappointment for Yakerston, second for the second week running. But in the end, perhaps that extra experience put the crystal on the mantelpiece. As someone once said, you can leave Ballybunion, but Ballybunion will never leave you. Hope you've enjoyed these 4 days as much as we have. My thanks to Mark Williams for day 1, and in particular, as the rain starts to pour, would you believe it? Thank you, Ross McFarlane, for your company these 3 days. Good luck at the K Club. I don't want to see you, I want you there on the screen. Hope you can join us at the K Club for the Smurfit European Open. Thanks for your company these 4 days. From me, Steve Beddoe. Cheerio!